So, Lone Rider here, and I'm looking at the Star Ledger newspaper. And as you can see here, the headlines are about Governor Murphy here in New Jersey. Jolt pitch for economy. Murphy looks to tackle lagging wages employment with master plan. I always find it interesting when politicians who initially run on a platform of everything that will basically ruin the economy and ruin the state even more, then turn around and say, well, let's try and make things better. So as you can see here, he says, master plan designed to breathe life into the state economy, he says, has lagged the rest of the nation because of the policies of former Governor Chris Christie. In short, he wants to focus on attracting fast-growing and high-paying industries and cultivating entrepreneurs in these sectors. Part of the plan calls for auctioning off tax credits to attract private venture capital investment and to overhaul how the state doles out tax incentives. Now here's the thing that I find particularly interesting about this, and I guess essentially onerous. Tax incentives. Let's think about that. What they could do is they could say, okay, we're going to just cut taxes, right? We're gonna just make it easier and more affordable for everybody. Nope. Instead, they decide, let's keep the high taxes, keep all the government infringements that are responsible for things going down, and for New Jersey, as they say here in the newspaper, falling behind, according to the report, despite having one of the best educated workforces in the country. It struggles to retain graduates, nurture fast-growing industries, and raise the quality of life for all residents. Why do you think that is? I mean, do you think that has something to do with the fact that we have such high taxes, that we have politicians like Murphy in charge? If you look at the platform that Murphy ran on when he was running as governor here in New Jersey, just a short while ago, I mean, none of the candidates were great, but Murphy was probably the worst. If your yardstick is both economic progress and individual freedom. And it's funny, the two usually go together. You know, when people are more free, they're usually more productive as well. It's kind of funny how that works. But, you know, you looked at everything that he was for keeping the tax rates high. He was for more regulation. He was for, I mean, on everything from taxes to gun control. He was in favor basically of more government involvement in your life, more government getting into your pockets, more infringement, more burden on you, more people telling you what to do. And then he's surprised that nobody wants to live here, whether it's because they find that the laws are too personally intrusive, or whether it's because they find that they actually can't afford to live here anymore. And as far as, you know, they say here that Murphy's administration released a 64-page report that details some of the state's economic woes, and it says our wage growth ranks 49th in the nation. Why? I mean, the previous administration wasn't all that great either, the Christie administration, but do you really think Murphy's policy of higher taxes, more regulation, more government intrusion is going to get people to want to come here? Like, seriously. And we can see this in how they respond to the problem. They don't say, well, gee, maybe having such confiscatory tax policy is a problem. Maybe having such infringing rules and laws is a problem. You know, people don't want to live under that kind of burden. People can't afford to live under that kind of burden. Maybe what we should do is get rid of some of that. No, because those are all key components of what people like him stand for. So instead of saying, for example, let's cut taxes, we'll give tax credits. In fact, the newspaper describes it as doling out tax incentives, which I think hits the nail on the head as far as describing it. They're not just cutting taxes across the board and letting you keep more of your money. They're doling stuff out to you. Come here and sit up and beg like a dog, and I'll give you a little crumb. That's literally his solution to the fact that we have some of the most onerous tax burden in the country, right? Come here, sit up and beg, do what we want, and I'll toss you a bone. How about just cut the tax burden? Nope. because it's not about actually reducing the burden and producing the economic benefits that they supposedly say they're trying to get. It's about they want certain behaviors. So if they just cut taxes across the board, everybody benefits, and there may, in fact, be an economic resurgence component to that in terms of more jobs, more wage growth, etc. But the government will have no control over how it goes. If instead of just cutting taxes and letting people keep more of their own money, the government keeps that money, continues to take it from you, but offers to give you a small portion of it back, again, throw you a bone, if you sit up and beg and do what it wants. This isn't about economics. This is about essentially behavior modification and rewarding certain things that the government wants to reward. And basically, it's a behaviorist experiment with society and with the economy. And you'll notice that for a long time, when people were complaining, well, the taxes are having a negative impact on us, we can't afford them, we can't, whatever, the refrain from the public was, we want you to cut taxes. Nowadays, the politicians, I think, have caught on to that, and they steer it in the direction of tax credits and tax incentives and things like that, which are not tax cuts. Again, one is letting you keep more of your own money. Another one is saying, sit up and beg and roll over and do what we want, and I'll throw you a bone. That's the difference. Treating us all like Pavlov's dog seems to be where Governor Phil Murphy is going. That's not a solution. That's more of the problem. Because, what is the problem? Well, the problem is excessive government intervention in the lives and existence of the citizenry, to the point where it becomes a negative, where it drives up costs, where it infringes on people, where people feel set upon, where people can't get ahead financially, where people, look at the gas tax, right? They raised the gas tax here in New Jersey, claiming that, well, the problem is we have a funding shortfall, so we need to raise the gas tax. Well, when you tax something, you get less of it. People try to dodge the tax. Maybe they drive a more efficient car. Maybe, I bike a lot for local trips, especially when the weather's nice. Whatever. But the point is that initially, when the price goes up, whether it's due to taxes or anything else, there's a sticker shock and people try to avoid paying that extra cost. So built into the idea of raising taxes on something like gas is that there may be a funding shortfall initially. The problem is the proposal for raising the gas tax basically required that if there was a funding shortfall, they raise the tax again to make up for it. But since the raising of the tax in the first place is what leads to the funding shortfall, because people change their behavior to react to the higher cost, then essentially what you're doing is you're just setting yourself up for failure, for something getting progressively worse and worse. Now, at some point, the use of gas is unavoidable in many ways for many people. So at some point, it's going to level off and people will just have to pay it. But that's going to have other negative effects. They'll have less money left for other things, less money, So the point is that these problems, not all of them, but a lot of them are due to the government's own policies. So what does the government propose? Let's keep having the same kind of policies. And again, when you look at something like this newspaper and their response to, Governor Murphy's response to the tax burden being so high and the economy being so low in New Jersey compared to much of the rest of the country, his response isn't to cut the tax burden, to reduce the amount that the government infringes on people, to stop taking the money out of your pockets and the food off your table and the shirt off your back. No, his response is to say, we're not going to cut taxes. We'll dole out tax incentives. Because it's not about solving the problem. It's about the government maintaining as much control and as much influence over the individual as they can. This is I hate to sound partisan, but this is the Democratic platform. And you look at states like New Jersey that have, historically and currently, are underperforming economically, and surprise, a lot of them have these policies. Yeah, occasionally you get one that has a Republican governor, like we had Chris Christie for a while. But generally speaking, they're so-called blue states, and they basically a lot of their laws and policies. They might have had a Republican governor for a few years back or something, but a lot of their laws and policies going back decades our standard Democratic platform. And, you know, do you think that's a surprise? When you look around the country and you see the places where the government infringes on people the most are also the places that perform the least economically. Maybe there's a connection there. Just maybe. We should stop taking as much money out of people's pockets. Maybe we should leave people a little freer to run their own lives. Maybe the average person out there can make a better decision than some guy sitting at a desk somewhere in a government office. Just maybe. You know? But instead, nope. We're not going to cut taxes. We're not going to stop, going after people with intrusive laws and regulations and whatnot. Oh, cutting tax? No, we can't cut taxes. That would be admitting we were wrong. Government's never wrong. Instead, we'll throw you a bone. Roll over, play dead, sit up and beg, and we'll dole you out a tax incentive. That's his solution. Well, his solution, Murphy's solution, is part of the problem. Which I guess shouldn't be a surprise because Murphy's part of the problem. Lone Rider out.